Hey everybody, so we're reading The Sword of Allah. It's been a very entertaining military book. Reads really smoothly, has cool maps and stuff. We're on page 33, towards the bottom. The faithful archers who had remained on the hill resisted gallantly. Some were killed, while the remainder, all wounded, were driven off by the hill by the assault of Khalid. Abdullah bin Jubair, defending to the last the position which the Prophet had entrusted to him, suffered many wounds and was then slain by Ikramah. Dang, so you're telling these guys, like, we have to hold the spot, they've done great so far. The lure, right, of plunder tempted them away from their position and led to the death of their lieutenant. Ugh. Now Khalid's squadron, followed by Ikramah's, swept forward and came in behind the line that had been held by the Muslims an hour ago. Here the two squadrons wheeled left and charged at the Muslims from the rear. Ikramah, with a part of his squadron, assaulted the group which stood with the Holy Prophet, while Khalid's squadron and Ikramah's squadron attacked the Muslims in the Quraysh camp. Khalid drove into the rear of the unsuspecting Muslims, confident that, having taken them unawares, he would soon tear them to pieces. But the Muslims refused to be torn to pieces. As the Quraysh cavalry reached the camp, there was an uproar in the ranks of the Muslims. Oh, because they probably realized the position's been broken. And a few of them lost their heads and fled. Most of them, however, stayed and fought. As long as the Prophet lived, these men were not going to acknowledge defeat. But as the Muslims turned to fight the Quraysh cavalry, Amra rushed towards the Quraysh standard which lay on the ground. She picked up the standard and waved it above her head in the hope that the main body of the Quraysh would see it. Oh, why? Hold on, wait. Hold on, why though? Is it a trap or it's like a signal? By now, Abu Sufyan had regained control over most of the infantry. He saw the movement of the cavalry. He saw the Quraysh standard waving in the hands of Amra, and he got his men back into action, knowing that the Muslims had been taken in the rear by the cavalry. The Quraysh rushed into battle once again, shouting their war cry, "O for Uzza, O for Hubal." Dang, so that was their war cry? They got those ladies singing that song, and they got the war cry. The Muslims were now caught between two fires, the Quraysh cavalry attacking from the rear, and the bulk of the Quraysh infantry attacking from the front. Okay, so the cavalry is in the rear, Quraysh infantry is on the front line. Abu Sufyan himself charged into battle and killed a Muslim. The situation soon became desperate for the Muslims, who broke up into small groups. Oh no, because then they'll get swarmed, each fighting on its own to repel the attacks of cavalry and infantry. The confusion increased, and in the dust, a few of the Muslims even began to fight each other. Oh, dang, the dust, man, I'm telling you. There was some alarm. That'd be scary. Dude, hold on, let's think about that. You are fighting with sharp swords, right, in the heat, and there's just so much action around you. You got dust on you, the heat, you're sweating, and you have to like quickly one camel this way, one horse that way, someone blood everywhere. Just you're in there like, can you? Of course some people lost their head, man, because that is a huge battle. Wow. There was some alarm. Well, yeah, but still no panic. Losers began to mount among the Muslims, but they held out, determined to fight to the last. At about this time, Khalid killed his first man, Abu Asira. Okay, that's his first man. You know what's interesting is there's a joke in what is it? The Game of Thrones. Euron Greyjoy, as he's dying, he says, "I killed Jaime Lannister. You know, I'll be remembered as the guy who killed Jaime Lannister." And here it's like this guy Abu Asira is like, he's remembered as the guy who was killed by Khalid with his lance and knocked down another Muslim. Believing him dead, Khalid rode on, but the second man was only wounded and got up to fight again. The battle was now divided into two separate actions. There was the main body of the Muslims holding out against the main part of the Quraysh army, and there was the group with the Holy Prophet holding out against parts of Ikrama's squadron and some of the Quraysh infantry which had returned to attack him. Oh, dude, this is chaos going on. It's chaos. Okay, look. Map 2, Battle of Uhud, number 2. Whoa. Zoom in for ya. Cool. Wow. Now began the ordeal of the Prophet. Well, yeah, it's a huge ordeal. When the Muslims left their positions in pursuit of the Quraysh, the Holy Prophet remained at his battle location. Here he had with him 30 of his companions who stuck to him and refused to be tempted by the prospect of plunder. Look at that. And you know what? That's almost, that makes them more Muslim, right? Because in the Quran it tells you don't be persuaded by the glitz and the glamour of the world, right? So that's like a test for them to see, like, have you been paying attention to what the Prophet told you? Are you gonna break your position to go get the booty, the plunder? Among these 30 were some of the closest of his followers, including Ali, Abu Bakr, Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas. Okay, let's underline everybody. Talha bin Ubaidullah, Abu Ubaidah, Abdur Rahman bin Auf, Abu Dajana, and Musab bin Umair. With the group were also present 2 women, who had busied themselves with carrying water to the Muslims and had now joined the Prophet. Yes, water's important. Somebody's got to get it. As Khalid captured the archers' position and the Quraysh cavalry began to wheel round to attack the Muslims in the rear, the Prophet realized the seriousness of the predicament in which the Muslims were placed. Yeah, they're in a tough spot. Sandy. He could do nothing to control and direct the actions of the main body, for it was too far away, and he knew that his own group would soon be under attack. His present position was utterly untenable, so he decided to move to the foot of the spur immediately behind him, not the spur at the foot of which the Muslim right wing had been placed. And with this intention, he started to move backwards. Oh, cool. He's going backwards. But he had not gone more than about a quarter of a mile with his 30 companions when Ikrama, with his horsemen, moved up and barred his way. Oh! Dang! So, imagine you're going backwards. And all of a sudden, bam, there's Ikrama, and you're just like, duh. The Prophet determined to stand and fight where he stood, and it was not long before a Quraysh infantry group also arrived to attack the Prophet. Oh no. So right when you're reversing, you're trying to go backwards or in a step, trying to do the new different strategy, there's Ikrama with his horses, and then the Quraysh infantry comes and they're like, we're ready too. And you're like, oh man, we're gonna fight two fronts, man. The Prophet's group found itself assailed from front and rear. Yes, the Muslims formed a cordon around the Prophet to defend him, and fight gradually increased in intensity. Of course. Ooh, dang. And he's at the nucleus. The Prophet himself used his bow to effect and continued to use it until it broke. Wow, so he used his bow and arrow until it busted, and you know if it breaks, he was pulling them shots. Thereafter he used his own arrows to augment those of Sa'd, whose superb archery gave a great deal of trouble to the Quraysh. I bet. Just right in the eye. Every Muslim took on an opposing group of 3 or 4 men, and either fell himself or drove his opponent's attack. The first of the Quraysh to reach the Prophet's position was Ikrama. As Ikrama led a group of his men forward to the Prophet, turned to Ali, and, pointing at the group, said, "Attack those men." Ali attacked and drove them back, killing one of them. Dang, so no wonder why so many people are named Ali. Because, like, he's a fierce warrior. So, yes. Now another group of horsemen approached the position. Again the Prophet said to Ali, "Attack those men." And again Ali drove them back and killed another infidel. As the fighting increased in severity, The Quraysh began to shower the Prophet's group with arrows and stones. They would use these missiles from a distance and then charge with swords, either mounted or on foot. Wow, so they're going at it. To shield the Prophet from the arrows, Abu Dajana stood in front of him, with his back to the Quraysh infantry. Really? Oh no. Oh. From which came most of the arrows. After some time, the back of Abu Jas was so studded with arrows that he looked like a porcupine. But he continued passing his own arrows to Saad. Wait, wow, so were the arrows, they must have been a certain size then, because they didn't impale him all the way through. I wonder how far they went in, what the size, I wonder what the dimensions were. Because, I wonder if they were designed kind of for that. Who knows? So they could fly faster so they're not too heavy or something. Or fly farther because they're thinner. Talk to an archer. Talha also stood beside the Prophet. On one occasion, when an arrow seemed about to hit the Prophet in the face, Talha put his hand in the arrow's line of flight and stopped it with his hand. Talha lost a finger as a result, but saved the Prophet. Wow. Talha is very brave. Commendable. Did you see that? How many people can say they do that?